Hi everyone, Full Metal Jayce here, and in today's video we're going to be discussing my personal 10 best tips and tricks for Jayce, whether you're new at the champion or looking to become better with him. Be sure to ask any questions you may have. Feel free down below in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to him as soon as possible. And without further ado, let's hop right into the video. Alright guys, so tip number 1 is going to be me explaining why putting a point in level 2E is so much more valuable than W is because if at level 1 you put a point in Q, and then at level 2 you put a point in E, and what that does is that opens up your abilities to have your knockback or your gate for any scenario where you need to either disengage, run away, or just live. Because there can be times where at level 2 if you put your point in W, you don't have the movement speed boost and you don't have the knockback for your kit because it synergizes so well with Q. And then at level 3, I do this 100% of the time, by the way. This is my own unique skill leveling order, and I highly recommend you do this. At level 3, you can put another point into your Q. So then you have 2 points in Q and 1 point in E, which allows you to have the ability to have your Shockblast be empowered because it's doing more base damage, on top of having your gate and your knockback be available at any moment, whether it's for a scuttle invade or for just flat out helping your team or needing it for, the mobility. So that's tip number 1, and let's get right into tip number 2 now. Okay, so tip number 2 is going to be what I like to call stance dancing. Stance dancing is when you are utilizing both forms of Jayce to be in both forms as optimally as possible against the matchup that you're comfortable in. Because a mistake that I see a lot of Jayce players do is they will sit in cannon form for like 90% of the laning phase and never utilize the ability to engage in hammer form and go for the all-in combo, which I'll be explaining later as well. So basically, it just means uh, be more understanding of the matchup you're against and understand that you are able to last hit in hammer form to not only get mana back from your W passive, but also seek the opportunity to go for the all in combo, which is explained in a moment. So tip number 3 for Jayce players wanting to improve or are new to the champion is learning how to properly utilize your mana in lane. I can't tell you how many times I have seen Jayce players fire away Qs meaninglessly or try to go for trades against a laner that is going bone plating and Doran's shield to the point where it makes you do literally negative damage to him sometimes. So it just basically consists of you understanding when it's most appropriate to use your mana against your opponent, whether it's to guarantee last hitting that you might have missed, or to harass the opponent when they're open and punish them for going for last hits. And if you're, skilled or well aware enough, you can even do both of those at the same time, and that really utilizes making the harass very meaningful for them. So Jayce tip number 4 is understanding which item is the best starting item and understanding how to utilize your early gold to get as much potential as possible from your champion. And what that means is I see a lot of people start either Doran's Blade or Corrupting Pot for Jayce, which are both very unnecessary items for Jayce because they don't allow any value or I guess economy from the gold that you invest into the item. So what I mean is when you start the game and you start Doran's Blade, you're investing 450 gold that you cannot build from this item, but you gain 8 attack damage, 80 health, and 3% lifesteal. The downside to this item is it's a gold sink. That's it. Once you purchase this item, that's where the item stops. But if you start Longsword, yes, you gain 2 extra attack damage, but you only spend 350 gold, which allows you to have a refillable potion that after every single back, you save 100 gold that you didn't have to spend on potions. So after the third back, you have saved 300 gold, which can be used towards either a free pair of boots, a corrupting pot upgrade if needed against a laning phase that is sustainable for you, or you can spend more gold towards more attack damage. So essentially the same concept with corrupting pot. If you start corrupting pot, you are essentially causing yourself to be put at a disadvantage because you're investing all your gold into an item that you can't build from when I just explained, whereas if you sit on a refillable potion, after your third back, you get 300 gold passively from the item. So after your third back, if say you have a boots, a dirk, and a longsword, and you're like, yeah, why not? Let's upgrade Corrupting Pot because I just got it for free because I didn't need the healing earlier from it. So the bottom line is understand which item to start, and if I didn't make this as clear as possible, it's always recommended to start Longsword Refill because it gives you the most opportune and most efficient build path for either flat AD items or because you're able to eventually upgrade to a Corrupting Pot for free from the gold saved. The next Jayce tip is going to be explaining how vital it is to prioritize auto attacking as much as possible in hammer form without pushing your lane at a disadvantage because of the mana you get per auto attack, which we're going to do some explaining right now. So we're at about 20% mana. And as you can see, every auto attack I do, whether it's on like say a minion or a champion or a jungle camp, gives me back a flat amount of mana. So after every auto attack, it adds up. So after about 7 auto attacks, I've already gained back about 20% of my mana. And this is very, very vital to laning because as you are laning and you waste mana on harass or prioritizing last hitting, you can get back that mana while simultaneously giving yourself a window for the all-in combo, which will be explained in the next tip. So I hope this helps, and we're on to the next one. So the next Jayce tip is understanding how to place your gate properly to get your Shockblast accelerated as fast as possible so the opponent can't either dodge it or they're not expecting it. And what I mean by that is even though there is a big range for Jayce's gate, there's a secret, I guess, secret spot you could put the cursor at, which if you're paying attention, you can see how as I move the cursor to the side of Jayce, the line becomes vertical with him. And then it's a matter of how close you get it to Jayce. So the closer you are to Jayce, the more of a fine line you have to be. But if you get the sweet spot, which is right behind his right heel, if you get the sweet spot right there just appropriately, it'll vertical the gate every time. And what this does is it allows you to have your shock blasts accelerated instantly. And if you get experienced enough or skilled enough, you can have the gate. Well, I missed the acceleration that time, but you can have the gate become sideways pretty much every single time. See? So the next tip I'd like to showcase for Jayce is what I like to call the Conqueror Combo, or it can also be referred to as the All-In Combo. And what it consists of is properly utilizing both of Jayce's forms, but understanding to engage in hammer form first, so you're able to have the cannon form to chase down or fight at a distance against your opponent instead of the vice versa that I see a lot of people do and mistake, where they'll engage in cannon form and then form swap to hammer form to Q into the opponent, and then they'll be kited away because they don't have the ability to chase them down. And doing this form combo on top of having Conqueror is why I call this the Conqueror combo, because not only does it allow you to do the all-in combo effectively, but it also pretty much simultaneously insta-procs Conqueror if you do it properly within 2 seconds. So I'll explain the Conqueror combo, and then I'll explain it again in slow-mo. So again, you Q into your opponent with an auto attack, and you walk ahead and E auto, and then that procs Conqueror, and then you do your cannon form QE with the hypercharge. So if you were paying attention just now, that was a very quick all-in combo, and I'll do it again. You Q onto someone, your AoE is active, you auto attack them as you land. You have the option to then either run behind them while they're slowed and knock them backwards in the lane as you auto attack, thus making the knockback be your 4th Conqueror proc, and the auto attack, if you do the E-auto properly, be the 5th proc of Conqueror, giving you the full 8-second value. So when you form swap to cannon form, you have maxed Conqueror proc to be utilized with your cannon abilities, and that synergizes so insanely well with your hypercharge and your QE. So I'll do it again and explain it for you. Q, auto, E auto, form swap, auto, auto, QE. And that's a full combo. So this next Jayce tip is rather self-explanatory, but I feel like I need to go over it just to have it be on the list. And it comes down to, at the end of the day, Jayce is technically half a champion when he only has half his abilities available to him. So what I'm getting at is you need to respect your lane opponent most times, or in scenarios where you don't respect him and you get punished for it. It can happen frequently, and especially the higher elo you get. But what I mean is, when you're in laning phase and you're, say, in hammer form, and you're walking up to be aggressive, but you form swap to cannon form to be aggressive, so you can, like, say, auto attack or harass them, they have that window as the opportune time, especially if they're a bruiser and topping, like, say, like Renekton or Irelia or something with a gap close or just a straight up 1v1 scenario, or like a Rengar, can out trade you super easily because you have no knockback, no hammer form defensive, no other half of your kit to rely on to fight them back. So what I'm getting at this tip is understand which form you should be in, and understand to not overextend when you form swap to one form. Because form swapping from cannon form to hammer form and being aggressive isn't that bad. It just means you don't have your hammer or your cannon form available to chase them down if they continue running. Form swapping from hammer form to cannon form is your biggest vulnerability as Jayce, because that's when a player can utilize your downtime and create a window to kill you on an all-in if you don't have your hammer form. So this next Jayce tip is a rather unique one, and it's rather important as well. And I'm going to be explaining how to do the auto attack after your knockback, on top of explaining the utility you have with your knockback and how the closer you are to your target, the farther the target gets knocked back, and how that can be more beneficial to you. But first, we're going to explain how the animation or your auto attack animation coexists with the knockback. So I have these two dummies here, and we're going to be explaining the knockback distance with these two. But then this dummy right here is going to be explaining how to do your auto attack within your E. And it just comes down to this. There is two circles you have to pay attention to, mainly just the blue one, because the blue one is your auto attack range for your champion. The yellow one is the E range of your ability. And in order for Jayce to get the auto attack swing inside his E, or after his E, is only if you're within the blue circle. So if I stand outside the blue circle but within the yellow and try to auto attack someone, oh, I don't have abilities, whoops, and I try to auto attack someone after doing my E, I'll never get it off, as you can see. But if I stand within the blue circle and do my E on the opponent and right click them immediately afterwards, I will 100% of the time get the auto attack off. And that's it. You just have to be within the blue circle and time your auto attack immediately after casting your E. That's all there is. But the second half of this is utilizing your knockback distance to the most potential it has, on top of using your auto attack within it. So as you saw, if I stand, say, just within the blue circle, right? Just within the blue circle, enough to get the auto attack to most likely register. But the thing is, I won't get them to go back as far. As you can see, they went pretty far back still. But if you are directly, and as you can see here, and I do mean directly on top of the champion, they will go an increasingly farther amount farther. Granted, this one went pretty far too, which I got lucky, but as you can see, if I put another one, say, right here, and I stand max range and don't get the auto attack off, you can see the distance and how it's so noticeable. And the last Jayce tip, which I think is probably like one of the most fun slash unique as well, besides the auto, is learning how to create a distance from your opponent, or to avoid warding, or to just get away from a scenario. And this goes in relation with the distance I was talking about with the knockback. There's two ways you can do wall hops with Jayce. You could either hop the wall to the opposite side where the monster already is, as you can see, or you can use the jungle camp or person to knock them through the wall and then hop to that monster on the other side. So an example is, say Gromp's right here, right? I'm auto attacking it, and oh shit, someone shows up. I knock it through the wall and hop over it and continue running away. And then vice versa, you could do the exact same thing where, say you're having to get away from a scenario on this side, or you want to cut through the jungle. You can either drop a ward, which is the guaranteed way, or you could fire a Shockblast and hit the opponent or the target and form swap and hop over real quick, or you can drop your gate, because your gate gives you vision as well. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can either drop your gate, that gives you vision so you can form swap on over and keep going about your way, or you can fire the Shockblast, form swap. Oh, I missed it actually. I actually missed it. Whoops. Let's not talk about that. Let's try it again. You can fire your Shockblast and then form swap over. Or, like I said, the last option is you could just drop a ward. So, hope that was a helpful tip. It's very interesting to see people pull it off effectively. And this works for all jungle camps, by the way. This works for the Gromp. This works for the Krugs. This works for the Wraiths, which I do this one a lot personally. I personally do the ward wall hop over, which that one I like a lot. And then another one that you guys probably didn't know about with the Wraiths, because shoot, even I didn't know about this one for a while. It took me a minute to find it. Is there's a wall hop right here as well. So hope that helps. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate those that stuck through the end. Thank you again. Be sure to leave a like and ask away any questions in the comments. I'll do my best to get to them. And I'll see you guys for next video.